Now, please welcome to the stage Chief Jeff Thompson from Inyo County.
Wow, what a great day, huh? Learned a lot of stuff today. We learned about walls of change. We learned about whole new buildings filled with wonderful services and programs for our clients. We learned from those who have been impacted the most with their stories. It's just been a great day. Thank you, CPOC, for putting this program together. It's been a wonderful day. As you all learned today, SB 678 has had huge impacts throughout California in every county. But I think it may have had the greatest impact on our state's rural counties. I've been asked here today to talk about and be a voice for and give perspective of the small county. How many of you folks out there know where Inyo County is? All right, we got a few out there. Good. Not very many. Inyo County is a small, rural, and isolated county. And because of our size and because of our isolation, as you can imagine, we have very few community-based organizations or resources to provide the critical needed services to our probation clients. So what SB 678 has done for Inyo County is it's provided the stable funding that we needed to train our officers to provide the direct services to our clients. We've been able to introduce evidence-based practices and give the support to our clients that they need to change their behaviors and end that cycle of crime. Not only were we able to provide the programs and the cognitive behavioral training to our folks, but we were also to go on the other end of the spectrum too and provide those incentives. A lot of people don't think about the incentives as part of being evidence-based, but that's truly the motivation that some of our clients need. SB 678 has been able to provide us with those incentives. Like Inyo, other rural counties have been able to use SB 678 funds to bridge the gap and provide treatment and services to individuals that was never possible before, nor would it be possible if the funding ended. Now, in small counties, SB 678 was very instrumental in providing complete programs. We were small enough, we didn't have any programs, so we couldn't use the small amounts of little grants that were available to build upon our programs. We had to build them from the ground up. So SB 678 has been able to provide us the ability to do that along with other smaller counties. Providing those programs is often an overlooked aspect of rehabilitation, and properly equipping our rural counties to provide these services is vital to the lives of our clients and the safety of our communities. SB 678 truly provided that missing piece needed in rural counties to be able to better address needs and create safer counties. As I mentioned earlier, SB 678 funding has positively impacted every county, including our next county that we're going to shine a spotlight on. This probation department has implemented innovative approaches when it comes to serving clients. The San Joaquin Probation Department has been effective and innovative in supporting adult probation clients and helping people receive treatment and services they need to impact long-lasting change, which enhances the safety of our communities. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome back to the stage Chief Stephanie James from San Joaquin County to highlight her county's programs and services. Thank you.
It's me again. So I have the distinct pleasure of being here with a wonderful panel. I'm going to introduce them really quickly, and then I won't be doing very much of the speaking today. You'll be hearing from them. So immediately to my left is Stephen Smith, and he is a client, a graduate of our Passport program, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Next to him is Deputy Chief Paula Wrong, who's over Field and Court Services, and then next to him is Assistant Deputy Chief Tim Polinsky, who oversees our AB 109 division, which also includes our Day Reporting Center. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a history. When SB 678 passed, we didn't have a Day Reporting Center, so like many of you, we started using validated risk assessments, and we knew we wanted to have a Day Reporting Center, so we contracted with a vendor to get it started. It was working very well for us, but then after a couple of years, we faced the economic downturn, and I was in the process of laying off a lot of staff, and we decided that we could probably run the Day Reporting Center ourselves. So that's what we did. We ended our contract, and we started providing those services directly to our clients. So we have been working with the University of Cincinnati Correctional Institute since about 2010 in our department. They advise us on all of our evidence-based practices. And one of the things that we started doing in 2014 is we had them come out and look at our evidence-based programs that we were offering. At that time, we were primarily offering aggression replacement training, thinking for a change, and the CBISA, which is a substance abuse curriculum. They came back with a TA report, a technical assistance report, and one of the areas of recommendations that they made was that we had so many closed groups. We didn't have a lot of open-ended groups, and so they made 60-ish recommendations for us to look at and consider implementing. And so I'm going to turn it over to Paul, who's going to talk about the redesign that we did at our Day Reporting Center.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Before I get into the implementation of the Day Reporting Center, it all started when I was a probation unit supervisor in 2013, and I got transferred to the Day Reporting Center. At that time, didn't really want to go. I was doing in-custody intake, but it really did revitalize my career. It got me able to create a program. When I first got there, the chief said, hey, we want to revamp this program. So that first year, I'm thinking of ideas. Okay, let's just add some more evidence-based programming. There was limited programming when I first got there. So I added thinking for a change. I added art. But like the chief said, the entry points were too far apart. What was happening is our DRC clients were reporting, and there was no purpose for them when they were going. They were just signing a sheet and leaving and not doing any programming. So they were reporting 5 days a week and doing a program like once a week. So we knew it was time to make a change, and that's why we contracted out with the University of Cincinnati to get that going. So in December of 2014, it was very important that we had the right people in place when we were meeting with the University of Cincinnati. We had, I spoke to the chief and said, I know we're going to be doing a lot more programming. Can we get a CBO involved who could do the majority of the facilitating? Because as you guys all know, the POs aren't going to want to teach every class at the Day Reporting Center. So she was very supportive in that, and we hired a CBO. And we also had behavioral health at the table because they teach our drug class, our CBISA class. So we met for a few days in 2014 in December, and it was war room type stuff, 3 days, pizza in, trying to figure out how to make the best Day Reporting Center we can. So after those 3 days, I presented to the admin team, and they loved it. So we went live in 2015 of January. And so what we came up with was a 3-phase system and an aftercare portion of the Day Reporting Center. The first phase is when the clients report 5 days a week. It's called our orientation phase. We offered 6 orientation classes, and they can be completed in 2 weeks. We wanted an immediate results so that they can see a success if they complete that first phase, and they're going to report 4 days a week if they get to the second phase. So once they complete that first phase, we also wanted our strong facilitator in that phase because that's where you get the buy-in. We wanted them to know that they can change. They can change their way of thinking, and they can complete this passport programming. So After phase 1, they come to report 4 days a week, and they go into phase 2 of the programming. And as you can see up there, it is foundations, social skills classes, problem solving, and more COG. The foundations is basically a component of thinking for a change. It is a closed group. However, while they're in phase 2, they can do those social skills classes and problem solving while they're waiting to get into that foundations group. So once again, that's reporting 4 days a week. After they complete phase 2, this is when we get into phase 3, and we start identifying the top 3 criminogenic needs for each of our clients using our validated risk assessment tool, the STRONG. For instance, if they have drugs as their top 3 need, they're going to take our CBISA class, our drug class. If they have aggression, they're going to take our ACT class, our aggression class, along with social skills and problem solving. If they don't have aggression or drugs in their top 3 needs, then they're going to take more advanced social skills classes, social skills 2, social skills 3, and even more problem solving. The clients that get the most dosage out of the program are those clients that have aggression and drugs in their top 3 criminogenic needs, because they're going to take the CBISA class, which is over 30 classes, so it's a lot, hour and a half long. And they're going to take the ACT class, which is 10 sessions at an hour and a half long. So you can see right there that they're going to take get a lot of hours of dosage if they have those 2 top 3 needs. After phase 3, we call it aftercare, and they're going to do some advanced practice counseling. In the aftercare portion, we cut the reporting way down. They're coming twice a month. And basically, they're reporting with their PO, doing some advanced practice classes. The POs are going over epics. They're doing some motivational interviewing. Like the chief said earlier, all of our POs are trained in art, motivational interviewing, and we are currently working on train the trainers for epics. So they've all been trained in epics as well. So we're getting that going. So once they complete that, that takes 3 months, twice a month, and then they get to the graduation phase, finally. So when you're looking at this, you're thinking, well, that's a lot of programming. But if the clients are doing well and doing what they're supposed to be doing, they complete this program in 6 months. So, which is a lot of dosage hours in 6 months. And if they do complete and graduate, we're also asking for their cases to be modified to informal and sometimes termination, because we know that they completed all this EBP programming. They deserve to be modified at that time. As far as incentives, we offer incentives after each phase, gift cards after phase 1, gift cards after phase 2 and 3, and the more, they progressively get more as you move on through the program. We also have an achievement basket where there's hygiene products, socks, all kinds of stuff in that basket. So whenever they're doing well, the PO can bring them to the achievement basket and give them something for that day. And you're wondering why we call it the EBP Passport Program. This is the reason why. That day that we met that month we met for 3 days, we came up with what's called the Passport. And the reason why we came up with this is we wanted to simplify a way so that the clients, when they complete a class, the facilitator can initial the box. And you'd be surprised how competitive the clients get, because they want to see their passports. The passports are in their files. So they'll ask the POs how far along I am, how much more do I have to do, so the POs will bring out their passport and they can see all the initials that they do. It's almost like going to school and going through the semesters and trying to see how much farther you have to get before you complete. So that's our passport program, and that basically outlines all the phases and the aftercare portion on there. With all that programming, we were doing staffing twice a week to come up with a programming schedule. At the Day Reporting Center, we were offering over 25 classes a month. So as you can see there, orientation, CBISA, they're all on there, the social skills classes. Also, we offer programming at our Voc Ed program. And clients are eligible to attend the Voc Ed program. That's after phase 2. And we work with the Northern California Construction Training Program, which is a 6-month pre-apprenticeship program. So once they complete phase 2, they can head out to the fairgrounds, which was their station, and go ahead and go through that program so they can get a job with the unions and in construction. We also have at the fairgrounds the County Office of Education. So any of our clients that need a high school diploma or GED, the County Office of Education will work with them and get that taken care of. So as you can see, it was a lot of programming, and even my team at that time were wondering how in the heck are these guys going to do all that programming. So that first year in October, we had our first graduating class, and we actually had 25 graduates. So we're like, whoa, this is working well. So as we're listening to the graduation class and listening to their testimonials, it was all positive feedback. Working well with the POs, we're changing the way we're thinking. So with that, we decided to expand it throughout the department. So now all of the departments are doing the Passport program. And Assistant Deputy Chief Probation Officer Tim Polinsky will discuss that further.
And real quick, before we go to that, Paul said 25 classes a month. If you look at the schedule, it actually is 25 classes a week that they were offering.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
With the positive results that we were seeing at the Day Reporting Center, in 2016, we began expanding the programming out to our adult supervision clients. And with the continued success we saw with the 678 population, we expanded it even further to our AB 109 clients, to the juvenile division, and even into our juvenile hall. I would like to note that those that do receive the programming assesses high risk on our strong risk assessment for our adults and on the PACT for our juveniles. And also, as part of our expansion, we did provide an incentive for our domestic violence clients. Those who complete phase 2 and attend the Batters Intervention Program, they're able to do it for free. It's fully funded by the department. We started that in 2016 with just one provider. It's been so successful. We're going to 3 providers here in this next fiscal year. And just like DRC, these clients are also eligible to attend the NCCT, the Northern California Construction Training, and get services through the County Office of Education. And the programming map, as you see, is very similar to the Day Reporting Center, so I do want to thank Paul for doing all the hard work. All I had to do is hit copy and paste onto a new Word document, and there we go. So the only slight difference is on phase 1 for orientation. In the Day Reporting Center, they go 6 times for 1 hour each time. In this one, they go 3 times for 2 hours. The clients that attend this program are either employed or for some other reason can't attend the Day Reporting Center because of some other barrier in their way. We found that it takes a little bit longer for them to complete the program, not much longer, but just a little bit, because they are employed. We have to work around their work hours. But they still get through it and are highly motivated to complete the program. And next, I want to talk about what we started doing when we did expand this out. Was we formed a Continuous Quality Improvement Committee, also known as CQI. The main focus of this committee is on fidelity, and I'm going to touch on the 4 subcommittees that comprise of this committee. As you can see, there's assessments, group interventions, individual interventions, and data collection. Each of those subcommittees are ran or headed by a probation unit supervisor. The committee comprises of the administrator from AB 109, adult, and now juvenile. Again, probation unit supervisors as well as line staff, and one of our CBOs that Paul had previously mentioned. Our assessments subcommittee, their main focus is on the strong and the PAC risk assessments and ensuring that the information is being entered correctly into our case management systems. Second is group interventions. Their focus is on increasing group facilitator skill level and adherence to the curriculum. Individual interventions focus on increasing officer skill level and adherence to EPICS. And we do that through the coding of tapes and with the guidance of our EPICS coaches. Data collection, focus on ensuring accurate and adequate collection of data to produce sufficient information for our CQI decision makers. And this committee, the CQI committee as a whole, we meet once a month. Each of the subcommittee heads are responsible to report back their progress, If there's any issues or concerns, we handle them at that time. When we first created the committee, because we started at different times, we had one for adult and one for juvenile. Last year, we combined those two committees, so we have a joint CQI committee. And we did that to ensure the fidelity throughout the department. And turn it over back to the chief.
So before I go on to this slide, I just wanted to reiterate that we've actually created a culture in our department where every client is going to have to complete the passport program. So it's really up to them. We liked the actual passport because it's a visual reminder for them. They can actually see very clearly what they need to do for each phase, and they can see the accomplishment. And for example, our Juvenile Day Reporting Center, we actually have them, because it's a smaller population, posted on the wall, and they huddle around it to see how many more they have until they go to the next phase. So it's up to the client to determine how long it's going to take them. They get the schedule. That one sheet that showed all the different classes, they can see how many times orientation's being offered a week, and they can go to them as much or as often or as infrequently as they want to. They know that the faster they complete the classes, the faster we're going to go ahead and recommend that their probation be dismissed or amended to informal. So as I said earlier, all of my staff, all of my probation officers are trained, and I'm super proud of this dashboard here. This was during 2019. My goal is to do continuous quality improvement and group observations on every single staff. So we had 107 probation officers who were observed, and I contract with an outside entity to do the observations and the coaching. And we had 107 staff observed facilitating groups during 2019. Of those, 87 scored over 80% proficiency level, 19 scored between 60 and 80% proficiency level, and 1 scored under 60%. This was the first time we had done it beyond the Day Reporting Center. We had been doing the group observations at the Day Reporting Center, and we wanted to then expand it throughout the department. So what we do is, if you score over 80%, you're only observed once a year. If you score between 60 and 80%, you're teamed up with somebody for your next group that's over 80%, and you're gonna get observed once a quarter until you reach that proficiency level. And then if you are the one person that scored under 60, you're also gonna be paired up with somebody, but you're gonna be observed monthly until you reach that proficiency level. So we'll be doing this every single year moving forward. And on the right-hand side of the chart, you can see the divisions broken down. So overall, the entire department scored 85% as their average with fidelity. And then it breaks it down by the adult division, the AB 109 division, and the juvenile division. So super proud about that. We also in San Joaquin County really try to be data-driven and looking at our outcomes. And so one of the things we did once we did the Day Reporting Center redesign is, I apologize, there's just like really nothing I can do about this, but we looked at all the clients that were placed in the Day Reporting Center during the calendar year of 2016, and we tracked the recidivism for 3 years, which just ended this last December in 19. And we had 178 clients. 93.3% were male, 6.7% were female. You can see the breakdown of the ethnicity. As they said earlier, all of our clients are high risk. We did have 1.1% that were moderates with overrides, but you can see the breakdown whether they were high violent, high property, and high violent, or high drug offenders. And then we looked at their dosage hours. So we had an average of 53.4 dosage hours for each of the clients. The range went from 2 hours to 166.5. Obviously, the person who only had 2 hours was probably dropped from the program or sent back to custody for whatever reason. That's why they were such a low number. So 40% of our clients during this calendar year had 61 or more dosage hours. And so I wanted to really have a study done to look at, we all think that as dosage increases, recidivism is going to decrease. And so we really wanted to look at that to see if that was actually going to be true. So I contracted with an outside evaluator who did our analysis for us. And what we found is it was statistically significant that as our clients received additional dosage hours, their recidivism decreased. decreased. So overall, we had a 69.1% arrest rate, 52.9% conviction rate. But if you look at the tables below that, you can see that anybody who had over 61 hours of evidence-based programming, their arrests went from 78.2% down to 57.7%, and their convictions went from 61.4% down to 43.7%. So it was about a 20% reduction across the board just as those dosage hours increased. So obviously, we all know that, ideally you would want your high-risk clients to have 200 dosage hours, but as you know, it's really hard in an out-of-custody program to get to that level. So we're continuously reevaluating our programming that we're offering and increasing it. But again, we want to focus on what their top criminogenic needs are. And like Paul said earlier, those that have substance abuse or anger are going to obviously just get more dosage hours because of the nature of the classes. So with that, I'm going to turn over the rest of the time for you guys to hear from one of our successful Passport Program graduates. So this is Stephen Smith, and he is going to share his story with us today. So we're just going to kind of do this a little conversational. But Stephen, so why don't you just tell us how you got involved in the juvenile justice system and criminal justice system?
Okay, so it all started around the age of 12. My mother was an alcoholic. My father did meth. Forgive me, I might be a little emotional. It's been a long ride. But CPS was called out. We had no electricity and stuff like that, so they removed it from the house, and I was taken to a group home. And really, all they really did was just put anger in me and hatred. And I viewed it as, even though there was a lot of great people, a lot of great counselors, I viewed it as them being at their fault that I wasn't at home. So I continued on in that anger and that state, and I continued to live through juvenile hall, the boys' ranch, many stays in county jail. I eventually served 3 prison terms. I found myself back into the county jail system, through the realignment, and I was, just so broken. And so I had such so much desire and to want to change, but I could just never get myself there. And I had 4 kids, and it was eating me alive that, I was in and out of their life, that I was being the dad I promised I'd never be to them. But it was really all I knew. Every time I got to the point where I was clean and sober, out of jail, but you get in that state of what do you do next? And if you don't have any foundation, any guidance, anything, you just go back to what you've always done, even though you hate it the most. And so I found myself this time in Officer Beltran's office, and she was like, Stephen, I have this program for you, this passport program I want you to be part of. And inside, I'm like, yay, program. But I can honestly tell you this, I'm gonna call it the building, but it's the passport program. Everyone there, like no one literally ever walked by you without saying hi. The whole 6 months I was in and out of that building. The way that they taught the program, not only did you teach it, but you had to get up and you had to do role play. So it actually got me involved. It made me feel like I had something. It allowed me to get comfortable with what I was learning, to what I was teaching. And then we also had to give feedback on each other, our participants, our own, people who've been through the same thing that we've been through. So we was able to form a bond there. And, there was even a couple of facilitators who had lived a life like that, but they turned it around and they earned themselves a spot there. So that allowed me to be a little comfortable with them. And it gave me hope and inspiration that, hey, I could, we turn around. So I started believing, and I started liking going to this program. It honestly started to become the highlight of my day, was the probation department, because I could feel valued. I could feel like I was getting somewhere, and I could feel like, my children was actually getting their dad back. And things at home was getting better. I was getting better, and everyone had such a positive energy there that it was just contagious. And so I started thinking, I think this is my chance. This could actually be my chance. So one day I got up and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. I went down to Joaquin County College and I signed up. I was like, I'm gonna take this energy. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm currently in my 3rd semester studying to be a drug and alcohol counselor, And I could honestly say that all that all of that started right there at the Passport program. That 28 years of shame and regret, addiction, so many hidden tears, ended at the Passport program, where I was able to feel valued, where I was encouraged, where I was welcomed every day. And I'll be forever thankful for that, for everyone at this table, for everyone in this room, because 28 years I've counted a lot of probation officers, and I honestly can say they are some of the most caring people I've ever met. And I just want to thank everyone for really never, ever giving up on me and everyone else, because really, we won't make it if we don't have people that, desire to change and dedicate their whole life to seeing it. It's been a long, long ride, and I can honestly say I'm here today, especially at this table. The governor was here not too long ago. My old behavior would not have earned me a spot at this table. It wouldn't have. But today's behavior does, and I'm forever thankful for that. Thank you.
So I wish Chief Bonini was here, because Stephen, when I met with him last week to kind of talk about, there's going to be a lot of people there, and, we want you to feel comfortable. And, he had originally been arrested in Sacramento County, and he transferred to San Joaquin County. And he was like, in my mind, you should probably tell this, not me, I'm going to Stockton? Like, how am I going to do better in Stockton? So, Stephen, can you tell us a little bit about, has the Passport program provided you any new skills or tools, and how it's changed your relationship? You talked about you had 4 children, yes, and how that has maybe changed your relationship with them?
So yes, as I transferred, I was first thinking, I've never been to Stockton, but see, me and my wife, we split up, and she moved to Stockton with her sister, and she was like, if you want to try to work this out, you had to come to Stockton. And the only thing I've ever heard of Stockton was on news, and this not a whole lot rooting for Stockton there. So I'm thinking in my head, well, I have all these reasons why I won't make it over there, but I want to do good. So I end up in Stockton, and I go, and it's been the greatest change in my life. I can actually say I moved into Stockton and changed my life. But what I've learned really is to stop and think of the negative consequences and the positive, and just be absolutely honest with yourself. When you don't know something, you don't have to run from it. Just simply say you don't know it. Simply say, well, I can learn it. You know what I mean? There's people who will teach you that. I had to be honest with myself. I had to own up to the stuff I did, and recognizing my triggers, and writing them down and role-playing them out made them more real to me. And it allowed me to be like, you know what, there's some places I just don't go. There's some friends I just don't talk to. You know what I mean? And there's just some things that just not for me. I just have to say no, because I need to move forward. How to deal with my anger and not get frustrated, and because frustrations, I relapsed so many times over frustration. But to be able to just sit there and work through your anger and talk it out and positive talk yourself has really made a difference in my life.
So at lunch today, you shared a story about your daughter and about Father's Day.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, 2 years ago, I received a Father's Day card from my oldest daughter, and I noticed on the front it says, "Happy Father's Day, Stephen." I've never been a Stephen to my daughter. And when I seen the name, it hurt bad. My own kids was calling me Stephen, which is my name. But it greatly bothered me, it greatly affected me. And when I went throughout this program, I was taking home what I was learning, and we was actually role-playing with my kids, and we was getting involved, and I was telling them what I was learning and how I was changing. And I remember this Father's Day getting a card. They usually make homemade cards. And I dreaded so much opening it, but I was feeling inside like, I think I changed, I've really changed, but I was hesitant to open it. And when I opened it, I seen Happy Father's Day, Dad. It just made the world of a difference that I knew I'd got somewhere. And it's not, I didn't really have a dad or mom in my life, so to be able to be a dad to someone, some kids, some children who don't deserve not to have a father, really, really made a great difference in my life.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, because I know that's real near and dear to your heart. story. You talked and we heard earlier about relationships and how important the relationship is between the client and the probation officer. And you talked a little bit about it, but would you like to elaborate a little bit more about maybe, how you felt the relationships that you had in the building or with your probation officer helped lead to your success?
Okay, so, like I said, my officer was Officer Beltran. She was always smiling. She'd always encourage you, always tell you you're doing a good job. It's over there. It's 2 floors, the building, well, a couple floors. She was on the 2nd floor. She'd always come down to the passport program just to say you're doing a good job, that I'm proud of you. Keep going. But like I said, every time you walk in the door, if anyone who worked in that building ever walked past you, they always said, "Hi, how are you doing?" And if they find out you was in the passport program, they'd get ecstatic, like, "Hey, yeah, right on." I mean, but like even the facilitators, they taught the program like they believed in it. They said they believed in it. They taught it like they believed in it, and it was real life to them. And just everyone's behavior, the positive atmosphere of the whole entire building, just you had no choice but to start believing in yourself eventually. It was at first, it took me a second to kind of get used to it because I wasn't used to it, especially when I walked out of the room and I seen Beltran sitting there in a chair. I was like, "Oh, this can't be good." And she goes, "I just want to tell you you're doing a good job. I'm real proud of you." And being broken and living in shame and regret, those things matter, greatly matter. Like I said, I'll be always thankful for everyone there, the whole probation department, the whole building. It seems like everyone's truly on board with the fact that they have something in their building that can change someone's lives, and it's truly working. It worked for me. I lived 28 years of shame and regret, and I could honestly say it ended right there at the passport program, all of it. I mean, I still have a journey to go, but I am moving forward.
Yeah, you sure are. So I think you heard Stephen say he's in his 3rd semester at Delta Community College. And today at lunch, you actually talked about some future goals that you were thinking about. Do you want to talk about those?
Well, now that I'm in college, I'm like, why stop at an AA? I'm going for AA in psychology as well. That's almost like, that's like a high school diploma, kind of, everyone says. But my goal is to transfer from there to maybe Stanislaus State or Sac State to get a BA and maybe even go for a master's degree. Like I said, I know there was one facilitator there who lived a life of addiction, and he now has a master's degree. And it's just, that was inspiration that if you have positive change in you, if you have positive energy, and if you can believe in something, there isn't no limit with what you can do. You have to own up to what you did. That's true. But when you own up to that, it allowed me to move from that shame and regret and allowed me to move forward. And I know that there were some things, some jobs that I probably won't be able to get, but I'm okay with that because I know there are a lot of jobs that I could get. I could be a better dad. I could have, a master's degree. And it's about accomplishing something that I never thought I could accomplish. It's about being someone that I never thought I could be. Someone of worth, someone of value, someone that my kids could say, "That's the greatest dad ever." Those things mean a lot.
Oh, gosh, I'm just so thankful that you agreed to come here and talk today and share your story with all the probation staff throughout the state here. It takes such courage, and I am so proud of my department that we were able to help you, and I want you to know that we are always here for you. So it doesn't matter if it's 10, 20 years down the road. If you ever need us, we are always there to help you. So we have a couple more minutes. Tim, Paul, did you guys have any questions? Or Stephen, do you have any other last words?
Well, I could say that, I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to say thank you to everyone in this room, and that you are all true heroes in my book. Because where I come from, we a lot of times we don't make it if we don't have people like you to dedicate their life to change. Because, honestly, Beltran could have looked at my file, the probation department could have looked at my file, or files, I'm sure they're plural, and just be like, "He's not going to change," But they didn't. They stayed the course. They kept believing, and they kept at it. And eventually it paid off for me, and hopefully it paid off for them. You should always give yourself a pat on the back as well because you dedicated your life to this. And it's obviously nice to see some change. It's nice to have change, I can tell you that. Thank you for everyone.
No, and thank you. We are so proud of you. Thank you.